Hey guys, I'm a house. A brick house. Ow. Hey guys, it's Madison Estes. Welcome back to my channel. I'm a serious writer and freelance editor, and today I am reviewing House of Houses by Kevin L. Donehe, the most bizarre love story of all time. I'm going to start off by reading the book synopsis on the back of the cover because that really speaks volumes about how weird this book is. There was once an odd, reclusive little man who was in love with his house. He loved his house not the way that normal people love their homes. His was a more intimate love, like the love between two humans. He loved his house so much that he asked it to marry him, and he believed that his house happily replied with yes. Unfortunately, their love was to be torn apart the day before their wedding, on the day of the Great House Holocaust. On this day, every house in the world collapsed for no explainable reason. It was as if they all killed themselves and took their occupants with them. Distraught and despairing over the death of his beloved fiancée, one man must go on a quest to discover what happened to his beloved home. He will meet Tony, a self-declared superhero who looks kind of like a black man-at-arms from the old He-Man cartoons, who claims to defend the world from quasi-dimensional psychopomps with his amazing sex-pounding abilities. He will meet Man-House, who seems to be part man, part house. And finally, he will venture to House Heaven, a world where houses live inside of bigger houses made out of people. So this book is divided into 3 sections. The first section is called House Hell. This is when the Great House Genocide begins. So Carlos, the main character, the man who is in love with his house, meets Tony the superhero on his journey to discover what happened to his house love Helen. Tony fights enemies in overlapping dimensions, so he's kind of like Doctor Strange, except instead of having a magical amulet or a magical cloak, the magic is in his pants. He pretty much just sexes his enemies to death. So on this journey that slowly becomes more spiritual and metaphysical, Carlos meets Man-House, who promises to take him to House Heaven, where he can hopefully be reunited with Helen, and he'll be surrounded by houses, which apparently he's like super stoked about. Then section 2 is House Heaven. You'd think, going to heaven, that things would get easier for our protagonist, but no. House Heaven is a dystopian nightmare. Before I go any further, I want to say that if you do want to read this weird book, I would suggest leaving now before I get into spoilers. But before you do, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Otherwise, you'll go to House Heaven when you die. So being in House Heaven is a lot like being in prison. They build houses all day long. There is physical and emotional abuse, there is long, grueling work, monotonous work, and there is no entertainment or quality of life at all. Although they do get 3 weeks vacation time, so that's still better than a lot of jobs. So Carlos obviously uses this vacation time to go and find Helen. He finds her, they reconcile, and then they make sweet, sweet love. But then they are torn apart by a cruel, prejudiced world that will not allow a man and a house to live together in blissful, romantic harmony. I've shipped some weird pairings before, but I'll be serious, I never thought I'd actually ship a house with a human. The epilogue, brick for brick, reveals the main character's fate. And it is a sad, bleak, ironic fate. The man who has spent his whole life loving houses becomes a house. That actually doesn't sound as sad as it is. In the book, it's like he also starts to kind of lose his consciousness and he longs for his humanity, but he's being forced to be a house and he like hates the people that live inside of him. In the book, it's really sad. But it is a fitting ending and it feels like the story's logical conclusion. One criticism I have with the story is that I cannot imagine how a person has sex with a house, even a person-sized house. Even now that I am a half-person, half-house entity, I cannot imagine how that works. He does mention something about drilling a hole in a wall at the beginning of the story. I guess that's a clue. But whenever he's actually having sex with Helen once she becomes a sentient being in House Heaven, it seems as if she actually has like a place designed for sex, but I'm still murky on the details. And there wasn't a lot of overall description either. Like, did she have a big front porch? Did she have an add-on in the back? Did she? If we're gonna have some hot house on human lovin', these are questions that should have answers. Also, I am severely disappointed in the lack of house-related humor and puns. Her shutters shuddered as he stroked her windows. Shut the front door! When they were finally together again, she raised the roof! See, it's not that hard. My last criticism is that a lot of the characters were flat, and not just because most of them were houses, they really were underdeveloped. And Tony, the superhero with sex-pounding abilities, and no, I didn't need to say sex-pounding abilities again, I wanted to.
Sex-pounding, sex-pounding, sex-pounding.
His character was pretty cringy and offensive. I can appreciate offensive humor, and clearly both you and I can appreciate cringy humor as well. It just didn't work for me in this case. Overall, I give this book 3.5 out of 5 stars. This is the weirdest book I have ever read. Although I don't appreciate everything about it, it is without a doubt an experience unlike one I have ever had before, and one I am unlikely to ever repeat again. So for those of you craving something truly bizarre this Valentine's Day, I would recommend checking out House of Houses. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more weird like this, plus book reviews, writing advice, horror content, and vlogs, be sure to like this video and subscribe. And I just edited a horror anthology called Roadkill 6 Texas Horror by Texas Writers. I'll include a link for this in the description box below if you want to check it out. If you enjoy weird horror, you'll probably like this anthology. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you later. I want to be a pretty house. I'm just making sure that I'm straight because I want to be a pretty house.
Hey guys, I'm a house. Why am I talking like Mickey Mouse? Ah!
I'll be weird. I've supported some weird pairings before. Look at me, look at what I've become. I'm half man, half house. I'm an abomination. This is realistically the only house I will ever afford to buy. Her shudders shuddered as he stroked her windows. I think I made myself horny. Houses don't have hair. Houses don't have hair. So for those of you craving something truly bizarre this Valentine's Day, I would recommend checking out House of Houses, or my Tinder profile.
6 pounding, 6 pounding, 6 pounding.
I'm wrinkly. Am I wrinkly? Oh, that's my hair. I don't want to be a wrinkly house. Being a house is fine, but you don't want to be a wrinkly house. Let's see what May thinks of my costume. What do you think of mommy being a house? What do you think of mommy being a house? Oh, are you prejudiced against houses? Or against house humans? What do you think of me being a house? What do you think, Leo? Aww. I have to back away because he's gonna tear my costume because he's excited. His mommy is a half house, half person. Okay, what do you think of just the house itself? What if I take it off? Are you still scared? Are you still scared? Okay, I'm gonna stop. I'm being a jerk now. Okay, May does not approve of the costume. Leo likes it. Leo wants to jump all over it.
6 pounding, 6 pounding, 6 pounding.